Hello, welcome everyone. This is Melissa with Calix. I'll give everyone just another minute and we'll get started. Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for today's webinar, How Top Broadband Businesses Win the Small Business Market with a Standout Solution. Before our presenters begin, I'd like to share a few quick tips so you can get the most out of your webinar experience. Located in the top toolbar on the right-hand side, you'll see your settings and control panel. This is where you'll find the question section. The question section will have a box with a question mark within the toolbar. This is where you should go to submit questions or comments during the presentation. We'll address those during the Q&A session at the end, and if we don't get to yours, we'll send you a written response. Finally, there'll be live poll questions for you to take part in throughout the webinar, and we'd like to thank you in advance for your participation. This webinar is being recorded and we will post a link in the coming days on the Calix Webinar Hub. Be on the lookout for an email where we will also have the link for the webinar for you to view at your convenience. Allow me to introduce our presenters, Chad Mix, Marketing Director with Norvado, and Andy Waplinger, Senior Solutions Marketing Manager for SmartBiz. Andy, the mic is all yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Melissa. And thank you everybody for joining us today. Like you said, my name is Andy Waplinger and I'm the Senior Solutions Marketing Manager for SmartBiz here at Calix. Very excited today to be talking with Chad Mix. Chad is Norvado's Marketing Director. And so today we're going to have a discussion and learn about Norvado's journey in launching SmartBiz. Before we jump into today's chat, we do have a quick poll that we'd like everyone here to participate in, just kind of get a sense of where is everybody at in their journey today in offering solutions for small businesses. Are you currently offering simply just basic internet access and voice? Do you have some kind of a managed Wi-Fi offering, but it's more residential based? Are you offering a managed secure Wi-Fi with a guest Wi-Fi portal, something a bit more oriented towards businesses, or even maybe something more structured and in place like a managed firewall solution, something a little bit more towards medium to large size businesses? All right, getting the last couple of answers in here on the poll. Perfect. All right. Well, it sounds like a good chunk of people are offering something that's more akin to a proper small business solution, but a pretty healthy amount are just kind of offering some possibly managed Wi-Fi, but more residential focused, or simply just some basic internet access and voice services. So pretty good split. And I think it's going to be a great learning conversation for everybody here today. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and welcome Chad and introduce Chad. And Chad, thank you again for joining us today. If you wouldn't mind giving us a bit of a background on Norvado as well as yourself, I'd like to, get a sense of who you are, where you're at, and Norvado and who they're servicing, and all that fun information.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. Took me a second to get my camera on, so hopefully it's good now. I'm Chad Mix, as you said. I'm the marketing director at Norvado. Norvado is a 75-year-old rural phone company in northern Wisconsin. We have about 75 employees, 15,000 or so customers, and about 2,000 of those customers are business customers. So, we have a reasonably, good sized business community. We're in a rural market, right, in the north woods of Wisconsin. So a lot of those businesses, not all, but a lot of them are geared around, the travel industry, right? We have a lot of people that stay up there. So a lot of them are a little smaller, a little more hospitality or service driven. And they have different needs than, say, a manufacturer or, a professional service, provider or something like that. But yeah, our company is a cooperative, and I think, we're all fiber based, and we really try to be as frontline or cutting edge as we can be, right? Which is usually a little bit behind others, but we try to bring everything that's available elsewhere to the Northwoods. So that's a little about us.
That's awesome. And how about yourself? How long have you been with Norvado? Like, what's your journey been?
Sure. Yeah, I've been with Norvado for 5 years. Before that, I worked for another telephone company called TDS, a little bit bigger companies, but similar, similar in the services provided. And I've really spent my whole career either on the telco side or at ad agencies. And I've owned a couple of marketing firms, and there I had a number of telco clients. So telco's kind of been in the heart of what I've done in my career, but I've either been in the marketing realm on the telco side or at an advertising or marketing firm.
Got it. That's great. Yeah, so lots of great industry knowledge and experience, bringing that over to Norvado and the internet and fiber industry as a whole. Really cool. All right, so let's go back to kind of the beginning, more of like Norvado's journey with SmartBiz. Like often, offering a new service that begins with kind of seeing and understanding who's in the market, what are they offering, what's your competition up to, and kind of ensuring that you guys are staying innovative and competitive within that market. And I think that over the past few years, we've really seen that change as the residential market became a lot more saturated. People started expanding to small business and small to medium businesses in general. So what kind of, if you can give us a little bit more background on the business solution side of things specifically, like what kind of business services was Norvado offering before SmartBiz?
Yeah, so on the data network side, it really was Ubiquity. We still offer Ubiquity, so a Ubiquity unified line. So on the data network side, that's what we do. As a whole, from a telecommunications side, I mean, we're really trying to be more of a managed service provider, with hosted telephony, with infrastructure as a service, with IT as a service. And so that whole infrastructure as a service sort of line of business for us is around their data network, right? And being able to provide that to them, without them having to worry about managing it, installing it, maintaining it, patching it, and all those things. We want to just be able to provide it to them for kind of one low monthly fee, and then we're kind of their data network provider. So on that side, I mean, we either offered businesses Ubiquity, which is a traditional 3 or more piece sort of system, right? You have your gateway or your router, you have your access points, and you have your switch. And now a lot of times cameras too. Or we put people on a residential product. And so, as I said earlier, because we have a lot of businesses that are geared around, hospitality and travel, a lot of small coffee shops and, small resorts and those kinds of things, we had a fair amount of businesses on a residential product. It happened to be a Calix product, but I didn't really I really want to differentiate business and residential, but we didn't have something smaller to offer to the customer than our unified system. So it was just unified or a residential product. And now it's Unify or SmartBiz. And that's a much better scenario, I think, because it's actually geared towards the business, not geared towards a household.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get into, I think, some more of those details later on you know, how you guys are incorporating these two now together, because I think that some BSPs, they get a little bit worried about, well, is this going to be our only offering? You know, we have some businesses that maybe need a little bit more customization or a little bit more personalization. But I think this is also just like a great example of how these two, you know, players can essentially kind of live and work side by side. It doesn't only have to be SmartBiz, doesn't only have to be Ubiquity and Unify. It can be a blend between the two. But when you guys were, you know, as you're offering Ubiquity and when you were only offering Ubiquity, you know, I imagine there's like a bit of a scalability issue you guys might have been having, where it's like, because Ubiquity is like, it's a multi-appliance setup. It's just a lot more hands-on for you guys at Norvado to be taking care of and managing for these customers. So was there like was that like one of the big pain points you guys were having, was like this scalability, whether it's like scaling up a Resi solution or scaling down, probably more in particular scaling down a Ubiquity solution?
Well, I think a lot, probably, I don't know who's all on this call, but probably similar small telcos, right? And I think they'd probably understand this comment, and that is, we really work hard to be on the side of our customer. And I know all businesses say that, but I think we felt like we were overselling the business, right? So you have a coffee shop and we're putting in a system that they don't necessarily need. And that's what drove us to offer them the residential product, right? But we also know like that's not a good solution either. But I think the main driver was in the Ubiquity system, the cost, the pieces, the complexity of, you know, the overall infrastructure for a certain business type is just too much. And so we really felt like we're charging them too much. It's more complicated than they need it to be. And we need to have a solution that's just geared towards a small business. And that's what I think the SmartBiz solution is.
Yeah. Were there in your market and the competitors that are in it, are they also offering similar business services, whether that's similar to Ubiquity or similar to SmartBiz or both?
You know, in some of ours, in our select markets, you know, obviously more competitive. It's a Spectrum is generally the main competitor, and that would be in like a Frontier or a CenturyLink territory. So I would say not really. I mean, it's not like Spectrum has a Ubiquity type solution. You know, their solution would be more, in my opinion, residential, or they would have you go out and get an integrator. And when I worked at TDS, that's what we did too, is said, well, you have to have an integrator, right? And so that's one, it's hard to get integration work when you're really small and in the middle of nowhere. And the cost of it's really high. So it's not so competitively driven for us, although I can see where it would work in those areas. It was a little bit more of a, we want to do what's best for the customer sort of driven initiative. And we didn't feel like we were necessarily doing that. I mean, we felt the Ubiquity product served the purpose. We just felt like they were overpaying.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. I think that makes a lot of sense. So when you guys are starting to compare these, you know, we were talking about SmartBiz got introduced to Norvado, and you guys started to kind of compare and contrast. Were there any kind of particular features of SmartBiz, whether it's like a subscriber-facing feature or like a feature and functionality for you guys as a BSP? Was there anything that in particular that kind of comes to mind that jumped out when SmartBiz came on? You guys were learning about it?
Well, most of these sort of hospitality customers that I've mentioned a couple times are accepting credit cards, right? They're a small retailer, whatever. And I think almost all of them are non-compliant, right? So when they're using a residential, you know, even if it's a Calix product and they're using a residential Apex is what we call it, they're really not compliant in taking those credit cards, and even if they just set up a separate network. And a lot of times that's what we did, and we're kind of doing our best to get them by, but I don't think that covers actual compliancy. So I think the Smart Biz feature that allows you to have the separate network that is compliant for taking credit cards was a major reason why we thought this was good. There's other reasons, but I think that was one of the major reasons. The other, aside from features and benefits and all that, really just is having a business-based product that has 4 or 5 different features that are business-based, that's in a price point that fits that smaller business, that mom and pop sort of scenario, is really the major reason for us. But I think the credit card compliancy is a major factor, and a lot of times these customers don't even know that they're not compliant or what risks they could have if something were to happen with those credit cards. It could literally put them out of business, because they can't, like most businesses, they can't afford major cash flow hits, right? And so
Right.
if something happened that did affect their cash flow, a lot of times they can't sustain it. And boy, just not being compliant in your credit card could be one of those things.
Yeah, that's a pretty critical aspect that I don't think a lot of, like you said, a lot of small businesses maybe don't even realize that the solution and the service that they're being provided with today is not enabling them to stay compliant and stay safe in that way. And you don't know how that could end up affecting them down the road. So it really is a responsibility in a certain degree for service providers to be educating subscribers in these businesses and making sure that they understand what are these risks that they might be open to or exposed to if they don't have the right solution in place.
And Andy, if I could, sorry, and I should have said this to begin with, I think the other thing is we've started marketing it not just as Smart Biz or not just as Apex on our residential side as managed Wi-Fi. We've now started marketing it as a security apparatus and managed Wi-Fi. And so I think the other side of it is a lot of times these people are not, they're not secured very well. And so to be able to stop viruses and malware and identity threats and all of those kinds of things as a service that's managed is the second probably feature that really makes sense for our customer. Because again, a lot of times they just are getting by, right? And don't know that what their risk is until it happens. And so it's a good selling tool for us, but not just selling. I mean, we do want to sell, of course, but being a cooperative, we also want to help our customers. So, being able to make sure that they're secured and compliant are really the kind of two main feature drivers.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's super important. I think it's a great, kind of transition us over to the next topic here is talking about simplifying these solutions. And I think that what you're talking about right now is a great aspect around Smart Biz and how not only are you keeping these businesses protected and secure and compliant, but there's also like that level of simplicity that I think really benefits these businesses, because once these businesses are in a position where they don't have their own IT support or internal, for sure not in the in-house IT, and how are they going to manage these their own security and manage their Wi-Fi connectivity and all that stuff. And I think that what you were talking about, how Smart Biz is really just like it allows you to kind of come in and you guys as a BSP like have this kind of not a requirement, but I think that for a responsibility to your community to like empower them. You want to protect them, you want to keep them connected, but also like ultimately empower them to be able to handle their network to a certain degree, at least on their own, and that allows them to be aware and stay on top of things and not be in such like working within a convoluted system that ends up maybe it makes them more insecure because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I think the simplicity of the package is perfect for the type of business that I'm talking about, because they don't have internal resources. and they don't even have a third-party integrator, right? They would at worst either go without, which is most of the time what they do, or at worst case have a break fix. Somebody just please come fix this, right? And
Yeah.
I think with this package, they can understand their network. They can manage it to a degree in which they're, anybody could do, right? Like they don't have to be an IT expert. And having the app, having that app allow them to, monitor, make changes, be in control of their data network, I think it is very good and it is very simplistic. But I think the overall package is simplistic too, right? It's essentially a router, right, with software running over the top. And, they don't have to be experts in all that software. It's pretty simple, but it's also not 3 different hardware pieces. It's not, a gateway, a switching, and access points. So, the overall simplicity of the program, both on the software side and the hardware side, I think is the right product, for that. And again, quote unquote, mom and pop type of place. There are some limitations, and I'm sure you guys will expand, in the future, but, the limitations being how many ports there are. And those aren't bad limitations. It's just, there's a size that this particular product fits, and it fits them really well. And it is
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And we're always open to feedback. Obviously, we want to make sure we're continuously expanding and innovating ourselves too to help BSPs and ultimately help the subscribers and giving them what they need. And then, so as you guys started to incorporate, you're bringing in SmartBiz and starting to prepare to launch SmartBiz. How did that kind of change, like your marketing, messaging, sales process? Like, how did all that kind of change by going from this more complicated solution into something a lot more simple?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, as I mentioned earlier, we really want to market ourselves as a managed service. We have taken step after step to stop like selling and doing break fix rather than just saying buy it and we take care of it. This fits into that mold perfectly because that's essentially what it is. It's a managed product, just like your residential product line is a managed product. So is this. But it's business based. And so I think what it allowed us to do is offer what we call infrastructure as a service that our customers love, to a much smaller customer, right? And so now, it allowed us to do that. Our first job really was to get rid of all the residential routers in business. And so our marketing started off by telling people that we needed to upgrade them and going through and we're still in that process, but going through and moving all of those people from a residential based router to the SmartBiz application. And so that's where our marketing has been. But to new customers, it's really about marketing infrastructure as a service, right? You don't have to worry about it. We will take care of your data network. We'll take care of the security on that data network from a firewall type perspective. We will patch it. We will replace it. We'll upgrade, whatever, right? We will do it all. And it doesn't matter what size you are. You could be a 1-person shop or you could be a 100-person, shop. Obviously, we would use a different product in the 100-person shop, but we have a lot more 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people shops that we can use, the SmartBiz product line in and just still keep marketing infrastructure as a service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's great. As you guys started to roll out SmartBiz, were there any particular early good learning lessons that you guys uncovered as you were trying to not necessarily expand to a new market necessarily, but you were trying to educate these people about a different solution, and they were already, you were already providing services to them, so maybe they're wondering well, why would I need something else that when I already have something from you that's working?
Well, I think I touched on it already, but it was more around the compliancy. I think we discovered that just setting up a separate network, a separate Wi-Fi network for customers is not credit card compliant. And we, kind of had been telling people that's what they needed to do, and learning that, boy, we're not guiding them properly. It was a big kind of learning experience and something we lead with, especially since in our area there are so many of those type of folks, small retailers that are using credit cards. This fits perfect. I think from the standpoint of, we had a bunch of customers on residential products that, we're moving along just fine. I think they did have those questions like, why do I need to upgrade? Why would I need to have this? And it's those types of things, right? Being able to talk about compliancy, talk about the additional security, talk about additional network segregation that's available within the product, designed specifically for their needs is really our messaging that we're talking to them about.
Got it. Yeah, that's awesome. So for our audience today, we have another interactive poll. Just want to ask a quick question here, get a sense of, for those who are already thinking about a small business solution, are you thinking about launching one pretty quickly, pretty soon, in the next 6 or so months, maybe next year, next 2 years, or not really sure yet, no concrete plans, but at least it's kind of on your radar? All right, getting our last couple of responses in. This is interesting. So looking like a very healthy majority are actually planning to launch in the next 6 months. That's exciting. Obviously, I hope you've already been in contact with our sales teams. And then a good chunk are looking at the next year, and then about a third or so kind of unsure yet. So hopefully this will be a great discussion that in particular that crowd of people are learning from, and will lead to their own questions and inquisition on SmartBiz. So the last part I kind of wanted to touch upon with Norvado here with you, Chad, is the success you guys have been having with SmartBiz. How that rollout and ramp up process has been going. In particular, I know we've talked about some of the customers, like the more mom and pop type shops, but if there's any particular industry type that you found really has like resonated well with SmartBiz, I'd be curious to hear about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it does go beyond what I've talked about. I mean, I think there's a lot of different industries that can be served with this product. I think where it's part of it's just the nature of what's in our geography, but where we've seen the most success is in those small retailers, right? Small resorts. We have some that are really small. Sometimes there's larger resorts that this product doesn't fit, right? But there are some that it does. Shops within those resorts, for sure. There's a lot of gift shops and a lot of coffee shops and a lot of different things within the resorts that sometimes are separate, where this fits really well. Of course, our restaurants, our coffee shops, our small retailers, in the downtowns of the different communities we serve, those are all the best fits, along with the really small professional services organizations, right? So when you have an insurance agency that's 2 people, or a lot of times 1 person, right, in our area, it fits really well in their offices. And when you're talking about a ubiquity system, the way we sell it as infrastructure as a service being $50 a month, well, it's a huge savings for them to have a business-based product that is a lot less, half the money, that can really provide the same overall things that customer is wanting, right? So, that small professional office building has been another side it's really worked well with for us.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I just realized the other poll launched already. I was going to make sure
no,
we
you're
didn't
fine.
miss it. Oh no, okay.
We got it. We can do another one.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something there. But that's kind of like really quick before we open up to a quick Q&A, just get a sense from people here. Would you like to have somebody reach out and discuss SmartBiz as a solution that you could be offering sometime soon? If so, we'd love to make sure you kind of get in touch with our sales team and talk with them. And hopefully you got a good sense today of what are those benefits that SmartBiz can be offering, not just to your subscribers, but also to yourself and your company. We'd certainly love to talk with you guys. And additionally, if there's any, we're open up to a Q&A as well. So if there's any questions anybody has, we'd love to field any, ask Chad about his experience working with or launching SmartBiz. Let's see. One question we got here, what were some of those key factors that you would say that really influenced Norvado's decision to launch SmartBiz?
Yeah, I think I said it before. I think the number one thing is I really didn't, and not just me, but our organization really wasn't comfortable having residential products in a business. And not having a business level product and a business level approach or even an SLA on those products for us was problematic. And then we were also selling essentially the same product at two different prices, one for a business and one for a resident. And it's like, yes, we do give you prioritization in terms of support, but it's hard to actually justify that with a straight face. So it was important for us to have a separate business-based product that, again, we had one, Ubiquity, but then we felt like we were overselling that fit this model, this business line. This worked great.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Awesome. All right, well, if we have no other questions at the moment, I just want to give a quick thank you to Chad. Thank you so much for your time and joining us today and having this conversation. And thank you to everyone who's joining us today. And again, hopefully you learned something. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Our team would love to chat with you. But Chad, again, thank you. I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go with Norvado and SmartBiz.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having us.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you again for attending today's session. On behalf of Calix and our presenters, thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Enjoy the rest of your day. This concludes our session.